Hello, everyone. Welcome to this next session by Wisdom Mitra about the recent important events. So, in this session, I would be covering a deep dive of three important events that are important from the perspective of exams, from the perspective of UPSC and any other competitive exam. Without wasting any time, let us go into the topics. So, the three topics that I would like to cover today are COP30, that is Conference of Parties, which is related to uh, climate change and environment. Uh, it has recently occurred in Brazil, so an overview of that. Then the second thing is presidential reference under Article 143. So recently, Honorable President, has asked a few questions to Supreme Court under Article 30. She is allowed or he is allowed to do that. So she has asked a few questions. Let us review what's the context of that and all. And one more thing, recently in November 2025, Government of India has announced implementation of the new labor laws. What are they? How they change things, etc. That we will try to understand. Let us go deeper. So, Conference of Parties (COP30). It is the annual event that is held under the aegis of United Nations Conference for Climate Change, United Nations Framework for Climate Change, UNFCCC. This event recently has occurred in Belém, Brazil, and it is near Amazon, the rainforest. So this has got a symbolic importance because this is one of the biggest rainforests in the world, and this particular event, which is related to environment and climate change control, has been initiated over here. It was held from November 10th to November 22nd. Co-president for this year was Andre Correa Dalago. COP has underwent these three agreements, that is Global Mutirao. Mutirao is basically a word that means cooperation. So an agreement towards making a combined effort. That was what uh, uh, it has been agreed upon. Okay, and then political funding, Belém Gender Action Plan. So these are the three agreements that this particular event has uh, agreed about. Okay, and there are a couple of other points. For example, this year a fire broke out in that venue, so that was an important, side event which got some attention. Okay, and one more thing is who would be the next COP president for COP31. The presidency would be going to Turkey. Okay, and Australia's climate minister, who's Chris Bowen, would be serving as the president for the next year. So this year it was Andre Correa de Lago from Brazil, and the event was also held in Belém, Brazil. And next year is going to be held in Turkey with Chris Bowen being the president. It is held under UNFCCC, as I already pointed out, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And it was established after 1992 Rio Earth Summit. So, interestingly, Rio Earth Summit, which was held in Brazil, same like this year. Uh, Belém is another city in Brazil. So, in 1992, in Rio de Janeiro, a city of Brazil, this particular event was held, and the first meeting of COP was held in Berlin, 1995. Some important events are like Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement, and this particular uh, COP, it works on this particular um, principle, that is common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities, a core principle that guides this. So, timeline, as I pointed out, 1992 at Rio Earth Summit, Brazil, 154 countries signed a treaty called UNFCCC. And from this point onwards, this focus on climate change was initiated. The first event was held at Germany, and it was agreed that annually the important dignitaries from different countries, all the member countries, would be meeting at 1997 COP3. This is one of the most important annual event as far as COP goes. So, adoption of Kyoto Protocol was done, which talks about reducing greenhouse gases and legally binded developed countries for this. So there are quite a few nuances. Say, for example, India is not legally binded yet for reducing the greenhouse gases under Kyoto Protocol. Similarly, USA signed, so it's a signatory, but it never ratified, so it's also not yet legally binded. 2015, yet another important event, Paris Agreement COP21. And the most important point of this particular agreement was that the temperature should be limited to less than 2 degrees centigrade compared to the uh, pre-industrial levels. So, like post-industrial industrialization of the world of the globe, the temperatures are constantly rising. So, this particular temperature rise should be limited within 2 degrees centigrade. That's the agreement which all the countries made in COP31 in 2015. It's like 10 years now, and climate finance also was pledged of $100 billion annually. So this pledge is being met, but mostly with the help of loans, etc., not in terms of like grants, full grants. So that is one concern about the finance being done for this. Uh, so yeah, these are the important points when it comes to COP. Let us go to the next topic that I spoke about, and it is presidential reference under Article 143. So before delving into this particular aspect, let me go into three important articles of Constitution that are related to this particular event. So the relevant articles are Article 200, okay, sorry, Article 200, Article 142, and Article 143. I'll first, talk about these articles. What do they talk about? And then take you through the context of what exactly does these article imply in this particular issue or discussion. So Article 200, it is related to the governor. So once a state legislative passes a bill, it goes to the governor. And after it goes to the governor is expected to respond to that bill as soon as possible. So Article 200 says as soon as possible. Okay. And governor has three steps or three options basically to respond to that bill. Either to assent to the bill, that this bill is accepted, signing on it. Second is withhold the assent. And third is reserve the bill for consideration of president. So if the governor withholds the bill, then the governor is expected to send back the bill to the concerned state legislature and provide his or her recommendations. And if the bill is passed the second time, the governor is supposed to give assent. So now these are the three options available to the governor whenever a bill is passed. In case of this particular event in April 2025, there was a case between state of Tamil Nadu versus government of Tamil Nadu. Oh, sorry, governor of Tamil Nadu. So, like, state of Tamil Nadu was being led by the Legislative Assembly of the state of Tamil Nadu, and they approached Supreme Court saying that their governor has not responded to a few bills that were passed almost 2 3 years back. So, like, with even after passage of lot of time, these bills have not been responded to by governor, and because of that, they were not able to function. For those particular aspects for those bills. When this question arrived in April 2025, the verdict was provided by the judges. I think it was a uh, two judge bench, and they gave a verdict that the Tamil Nadu governor is expected to respond as soon as possible, and they considered some of the bills passed. They deemed them to be passed, after passage of time. So, like after passage of some amount of time, they said the bills are considered to be passed, these particular bills. So, it was more like a response or a verdict for that specific case. It was not like l- rule that any bill that stays for more than 3 months, for example, would be considered to pass. Not like that. It was more about uh, these particular bills that have been uh, held back by the governor of Tamil Nadu are considered to be passed. That's what they said. After this particular event, President of India, she asked a few questions to the Supreme Court, and President of India is expected to ask, or like he or she can ask questions to the Supreme Court under Article 143. So they can consult the Supreme Court to understand a legal nuance. If any legality of national importance, of an importance of to the people arises, the Supreme Court is consulted by the president, and that is done under Article 143. So, president used this particular aspect power to ask a few questions about how soon should these bills be signed by president or governor, uh, and like are they considered to be passed uh, unanimously if they don't sign, things like that. So there are a bunch of questions that have been asked. And one more thing, Article 142, special powers with Supreme Court. It empowers the Supreme Court to issue any decree or order for complete justice. So like it's an important article, you need to remember this: complete justice, Article 142. So basically, if there are any laws that are silent or inadequate, so if there are any such laws that are like incomplete, and for ensuring complete justice, the Supreme Court has to pass a decree, basically an order. Decree means an order. The Supreme Court can do so under this particular Article 142. So, effectively, when this verdict of April 2025 was given by Supreme Court, they provided a response under this article. So they used their power under Article 142 and said, "Ki we consider these bills to be passed." So that is the whole context. Article 200 about the governor, how should he or she respond? Article 142, the power of Supreme Court to issue a decree or an order for the sake of complete justice. And Article 143, the power of President to consult to the Supreme Court in the matter of an legal importance. So these are the three important articles that are pertaining to this issue. And in November, so like this question was asked by the President in May 2025. This verdict was given in April 2025. Okay, and the verdict said that governor should act within a reasonable time. Practices and federal concerns identified by Sakaria Commission, Pucci Commission, were cited. Like it was pointed out that you know these are the important aspects that the governor or president should respond quickly, and they have been pointed out by certain commissions also that spoke about center state relationships. So and also the verdict clarified that the timelines provided of say 3 months, probably I kind of remember, are not constitutional amendments or rigid statutory requirements. So it's not that every bill should be passed or deemed to be passed within 3 months. It's not so. Instead, they are judicial standards that give a practical effect to the constitutional principle of reasonableness in public decision making. So any law cannot, hang in air for indefinite time, and that's what this particular verdict said. So, like if you remember, Article 200 also has this word of as soon as possible. So, like that is what this particular verdict leveraged and said that you know the governor should be responding within a reasonable time. After that, the president sent a reference asked question under Article 143. So this was under Article 142. special power of Supreme Court to give a decree for complete justice. Article 143, President asked a question pertaining to the timelines to act on this. And the response was that court cannot impose a timeline for decisions. So a bigger bench, it responded to presidential reference and in November 2025. So this is the timeline: April, May, and November. And the response was that cannot impose a timeline, basically. Second thing is the court also clarified that though a timeline cannot be imposed on president or governor, but they can also not resort to prolonged or evasive inaction by sitting on endlessly on state bills, awaiting their approval, and talk of limited mandamus. Limited mandamus means Supreme Court has this power under its writ to give mandamus, that is an order to a government officer to act in accordance with the constitution, in accordance with the law. So like the this particular bench that responded to presidential reference also said ki there is a limited mandamus available to Supreme Court which can be leveraged. So all in all, this is the overview of this particular aspect. uh, अगर आपको ये समझना है कि क्या 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 इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल्स हैं तो आर्टिकल 200 है 142 143 ये एक बार देख लीजिए और दूसरा ये कि किसने किस आर्टिकल का लेवरेज किया कि इस्तेमाल किया सो गवर्नर के हाथ में आर्टिकल 200 है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के हाथ में 142 और प्रेसिडेंट का पावर है 143 आर्टिकल ठीक सो ये टाइमलाइन भी आप लोग को समझना अच्छा रहेगा अप्रैल टू 2025 and then May 2025 and then November 2025. Okay, so that is how this has operated. Let us move next to the revised labor laws. So like if you have paid attention to the news recently, government has announced new labor laws, new set of laws that have been framed into four particular codes. So like all the codes that were related to labor have been codified or like created in the form of these four codes now. So effectively these codes were passed by parliament in 2019 and 2020. So code on wages, so like your salary and all. Industry relations code, so everything related to unions, strikes, uh, working hours, etc. Third is on social security, and then this would be pertaining to about employee health insurance, PF and all that, and safety and health working conditions, so working in mines, etc. All this would be covering under this code. So effectively, all the laws that have been like effective in India since last 100 to 100 years have all been framed into these four codes, but it is taking time. It might not yet like been implemented quickly because if you see over here to 2019 and 20 the codes have been passed by parliament but like they are still under implementation or like going through the initial stages of implementation. Why? Because it's a concurrent list, so all the states also have to ratify, they have to create their own codes, etc. That is one aspect or point about the time it's taking for this thing. Second thing is what are the important impacts of this particular event. One is redefinition of wages. So wages will now include basic pay, DNS allowance, and retaining allowance. And like it is compulsory now to have at least 50% of the remuneration to be qualified under wages. So like any money that a particular employee is getting, at least 50% of that should be under this basic pay, DNS allowance, and retaining allowance. So this kind of increases the CTC, cost to company, for all the employers. Okay, and this might slightly impact in-hand salary effectively because say provident fund and all that will also increase slightly. Gratuity will also increase slightly. So kind of it would impact the CTC and the take-home salary. Social security now covers gig workers. Those who work on a temporary basis on social network sites like Uber, Ola, Rapido, Swiggy, etc. Gratuity and leave encashment will increase on effect of like code on wages, and provident fund, employees, state insurance corp, workmen's compensation also would slightly get affected. So this is the impact of these new four labor laws. Now, an important aspect about what all these codes will impact. So code on wages will impact these laws that were existing, right? So Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act 1948, Equal Remuneration Act 1946. So these three codes will now be subsumed, repealed, or nullified by this Code on Wages 2020, right? So this Code on Wages 2019, sorry, yeah, Code on Wages 2019 would repeal these three. Let's go next. Industrial relations. Trade Union Act 1926, Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946, Industrial Dispute Act 1947. All these will get subsumed by Industrial Relation Codes. Code on Social Security, Employees Compensation Act, Maternity Benefit Act, and Organized Workers Social Act. So, all in all, Social Security Act has nullified 9 acts. These are the three most important ones. OSH WC, that is Safety, Health, and Working Conditions. Factories Act 1948, Mines Act 1952, Interstate Migrant Workmen Act 1949. So these would be impacted or repealed or removed after this particular code. So although these acts would be subsumed by this new code of 2020. So all in all, about 29 acts. Sorry, this is wrong. This was for previous like this one. All in all, 29 acts have been repealed and codified under these four codes. What are those four? Wages, industry relations, health, safety, and social security. Okay, so these are the four important acts. Thank you. That's what I just wanted to